Well, Jimmy, what have you gotten yourself into? So if you've been watching some of my other videos, you'll see that underneath that is a Ducati 848, which I plan to track and or race next year, which means in order to put some proper parts on this, I need to take some parts off this and sell them. So I've done a bit of work already, as you can see. Power parts rear sets are off. I'm gonna go back to the stock pegs. There's not a huge difference in where those pegs are located. Certainly the power parts are lighter, way more adjustability, and solid mount pegs, whereas these are, you set them and forget them, and the pegs are flip up pegs, but I can still set it up for race shifting, so that's fine. But while I'm doing that, I've also taken off the catalytic converter, because I thought about selling these, and I just sort of, I don't know, it's been weird in terms of the market. Maybe it's the economy or whatever, but a year ago this stuff was selling fast and furious, and now I can't seem to give it away, so to hell with it. I am putting on, I've gone back to Black Widow, even though I didn't have the greatest experience with their single exhaust kit. I've got a set of twin exhausts and a decap, so this will be a bit louder. The twin exhaust should help keep it somewhat muffled, and in this box right here I've got a Rapidbike kit that I'll install. So I think I'm gonna, well, I am gonna put the mufflers on first, get that set up, and then go about routing the Rapidbike kit into the harness and where everything clips. Tank needs to be taken off and that sort of thing. So this is the first time I'm really getting into some parts removable on this bike, particularly the fuel tank, and you know, which involves disconnecting fuel hoses and that sort of thing. So anyway, keep an eye out for Facebook, or if you want to direct message me if you're interested in any of the parts that I'm removing and putting on the market in order to get some funds for the 848. Simple fact of the matter is I don't need power parts or rear sets for the streets. I'm also going to put the stock steering damper on, so that lovely Hyper Pro will also be available. So yeah, you might pick up yourself a good deal on some very, very gently used parts. So anyway, I'll pause it now and keep showing you some progress as we go along. So step 2 of 30 or 10, who knows. I've got the right side exhaust on. I kind of think it looks pretty good. Nicely, again, if I these exhausts coming on and off, if you follow along the blogs, I no longer need the guard here on the turn signal, so it won't cook it off. So anyway, I don't know if I'll take that off right away or revert it, but anyway, the right hand side's on. Just got it loosely fitted here right now. Some nicely machined piece. I don't know how well you can see it, but this is a nice aluminum piece here. I kind of wish Black Widow had better slip fits and springs here. It just uses a clamp, but you know, it's what they use. So I think there'll be once everything's bolted up on both sides, there'll be a bit of fussing to make sure that everything's lined up and square. So yeah, everything's still loose, but rather than put on the opposite side, the next step is actually to take more things off. Simply because I'm going to route the Rapidbike, I think, in order to get it to orient itself correctly as the wires go through the bike. This right hand side has to be loosened off, and so I might as well loosen it off now while I've got the side off, or the muffler off, and because the tank needs to come off and that sort of thing. So I did get my hands on a proper workshop manual for 790. 890 is quite similar, so that'll help me in taking all the stuff off. So that's where we're at so far. So far so good, only minimal swearing. The tank is off, which was a bit of a faff, as they say, but anyway, it's kind of you know, honestly, it wasn't too terribly difficult. A few things that I found surprising when I first took it apart. The ECU is actually bolted to the, or sorry, the regulator rectifier is bolted to the bottom of the tank, as is the ECU. These two these two huge blocks here, which are almost identical. No, they're not, thankfully. So you won't be able to mix them up if you put them back on. But you can see a little bit of fuel residue. They're a bit spilled out, but hopefully that'll evaporate before I go around firing things up. But buried in and amongst this stuff are the connectors for the Rapidbike. So done with the KTM manual for now in terms of taking everything off, and I'm going to get out the Rapidbike instructions and figure out how to hook this all up together. So far so good. It's not going too difficultly, and I think part of it has to do with the fact that the bike is still relatively new. I'm not dealing with, you know, 10 years of dirt and dust, although as you can see, somehow a wee little moth got stuck in our dragonfly. Got himself jammed in there. Who knows how the heck that happened. So this does give me a bit of a hint as to how much fun valve clearance adjustments are going to be in a couple of years. At the rate I'm going, another summer and a half. But you know, certainly tight packaging, and because I'm a bit fastidious, it gives me an opportunity to clean up underneath here. Although it is relatively clean, so that's kind of good that things are sealed off. And yeah, I'll get out the instructions. I think these two gray connectors, right here and right here, are a pretty critical part of the fueling module. So onward and upward. So making more progress. I found in order to easily access things, you may or may not have to do this. I did take off these two side covers here. I've got everything hooked up in the front. It's not the most intuitive. The quite crap instructions with no color refer to 4-pin connectors under the tank. They're actually just to the right of the ABS unit here on the 890R. So that's where these two things go, and I'm just sort of, it'll take a lot of fussing about to get things oriented under the tank so that there's no pressure put on anything or wires are getting pulled out. So the next step for me is I want to try to get this the rest of this loom you know, tucked in here out of the way, so that the actual Rapidbike ECU can sit back there out of the way and under the tank. Because originally on the instructions, believe it or not, with the 890 Adventure, it sits like here or something like that. So on an outdoor adventure bike, they've actually got the piggyback ECU mounted outside the frame or outside the seat area, which to me just sounds stupid. So anyway, next step is I'm going to loosen off this side panel here, hopefully enough to tuck these wires in out of the way, hook up the ECU, put maybe some foam padding in there so it doesn't rattle around, and then the last step for me is hooking up this wire here. It's like step 2 or 3 in the process, and I wanted to sort of leave that to the last, because it's this sort of thing that you mount too early, monk around with some wires, and then suddenly, oh well, will you look at that? You know, this is pulled out and it won't run properly. So yeah, yeah. As I said, the 4-pin connectors are hidden under there. These two inline connectors into the top of the cylinder head go here. You can kind of see them there. Make sure again they're going to lash these down so they're not there's no stress on them whatsoever, and then finding a way to route this wire back here. Okay, I'm not sure if it looks like it, but there honestly is a bit more progress here. So I did take this side piece off in order to run the Rapidbike harness towards the back here. This is where it will go, just in front of the battery. And so the only thing I had to do that was a bit wonky here is that normally all of these auxiliary plugs to do things like well, USB, CAN bus, this is auxiliary in, I'm not sure any of that stuff, but that all was normally wired so that it sat right here, which again might have been fine, but it wouldn't allow this side panel to get on properly. So I trimmed the sheathing back a bit, rewrapped it, and then just oriented so it could sit here, up and out of the way, which is a smarter spot. If you ever wanted to plug any of these things in, like, this is far more accessible than if they were stuck somewhere in here underneath this this piece here. So just very careful to make sure that these wires aren't being pinched off. Like as they route there, you don't want to get it into a pinch point and have it, you know, vibrate and saw in half. So likewise here, I'm not sure how well you can see, but it's you know, it's not so tight around some of these corners that that's cut off. So yeah, the next step is to get the Rapidbike module installed. Again, I'll probably use some sticky back foam I have in order to orient it, and yeah, get that hooked up, and then the this little green wire here, still haven't done that yet, and then start to properly reassemble it. So again, the nice thing is it's not too cold. It's cool, but you can still move wires around. They're still pliable, and carefully put this all back together, and finish off the exhaust system as well. So yeah, here we go. So the pipes are on. I'm just going to give it 24 hours to let this muffler paste, I guess, seal up. You're supposed to let it cure. Anyway, it was quite a long process in terms of putting this on and fitting it, you know, between the taking off the catalytic converter and the old exhaust, putting the new exhaust on, then putting on the Rapidbike, and then fitting everything. Yeah, it took a while, but anyway, I did have it run without the paste. Took it all off and put the paste on again, and it actually sounds really good. So I'm happy with it. It's certainly louder than stock. I'm going to leave the baffles in, but for those of you that are following this blog, I think this is the third or fourth exhaust system I've tried on this thing, but I think I'll just invest in some quality earplugs. Anyway, it should be good in that it certainly has lost some weight with the catalytic converter being deleted, and yeah, probably the two mufflers are about the same weight as the single OEM one. It's Canada or Canadian Pacific there, making some nice background noise. So I will post a video of this thing running, and that'll be the end of this install. I guess the only thing I can suggest, again, and this is my second Black Widow exhaust system, take the stainless steel nuts and bolts that you get with the kit and throw them as far away as you can. They just they continually gall up and then basically seize. So the idea of, you know, tightening things up and adjusting them and loosening them again, yeah, it is pretty exasperating. So I've put my own hardware in here with some lock nuts, and it's good and steady. So yeah, and as you can see, the stock foot pegs are back on. I'm going to be selling the Power Parts one, and yeah, recoup some money. Not recoup, but earn some money so I can put it on Ducati here. Anyway, I'm rambling, so that's enough for me, and I'll put a post of it or a clip of it running to end off this video. So bone cold start with the system installed and the muffler paste cured. I can't remember if that came on, but I believe it shuts off as soon as we fire it up. So here we go. Yeah, check engine light came on. Certainly the bike is a bit louder. that in. I'm not even going to shut it off right away. Just shock the engine into running up and not letting it get up to temperature. So while it may burn a bit more gas, we're talking about fractions of liters. It's just that mechanical sympathy I've been talking about, which I think has helped make this bike more reliable than perhaps some of the other ones out there. I'll wait till it gets a couple of bars on the gauge and then flip the throttle for you. So maybe the muffler paste hasn't totally cured yet. It's warming up. So maybe the heat will let it settle a bit more. It was pretty cool overnight. Anyway, 3 bars on the gauge, so I'll give it a couple of blips. So generally speaking, definitely a bit noisier, a bit louder, but not obscenely loud. Certainly there's Harleys out there that are far more obnoxious than that. So again, you know, to me the goal was getting rid of that catalytic converter, and I'm pretty confident that the tune that EDR put in it when I picked it up, you know, cat delete, well, that's basically what it is, a cat delete. Yeah, we'll see how it holds up. I'm glad you know, these are mounted. You know, there's a little bit of flex there, but you know, they're not wobbling around too much, and yeah, that paste will fully set and hold those mufflers secure. So yeah, fairly successful install. Like I said, I was probably getting kind of one of the segments, the last segment yesterday. I had been in the garage for a long time, hadn't had anything to drink, hadn't had anything to eat. I think I was getting a bit punchy, so that might not have made any sense.